Women who came forward against Governor Cuomo now speaking out in the wake of the Attorney General's report.
He just needs to come forward and admit what he has done and stop dismissing us women.
That was Sherry Ville. She said the governor grabbed her face and forcibly kissed her cheek while touring her flood-damaged home back in 2017. She said he did go in a highly sexual manner and dismissed his notion that it's something Italians do, kiss on both cheeks.
So attorney Gloria Allred represents Sherry Ville. She joins us right now live to talk about the Attorney General's findings. So good to see you, Gloria Allred. Thank you for being here this morning.
Good morning.
So, Ms. Allred, let's begin first to your reaction to these findings, first and foremost, and what exactly Sherry has said to you in light of all this.
Well, Sherry is very happy that the Attorney General has said that she believes the women, and she feels very vindicated for that. It's interesting. I looked last night at the governor's response, and I noticed that although he put in his response many photos of him kissing different people, which, by the way, is an attempt to change the narrative and is a distraction from the fact that he has sexually harassed women. He didn't include the photo that you just showed of him kissing, grabbing by the face, pulling to him, and then kissing on both cheeks Sherry Ville, my client. So the absence of that photo, given all the photos he included, is really interesting to me. And by the way, the whole issue is not just kissing, not just grabbing, but it's consent. He needs to ask somebody, is it okay for me to grab you and kiss you? Not just to assume that he should do it. It doesn't matter about his so-called innocent intentions. It matters about the impact on the victim.
Yeah, and I want to get to that because, you know, we heard questions over and over again yesterday. Are there criminal cases that could come out of this? And that's to be determined. But on the civil side, what does this mean for the women and the victims?
Well, I think many of the victims can and probably already have considered whether to file a civil lawsuit. A civil lawsuit for damages for their pain and suffering, maybe for their lost wages, perhaps for their medical bills or therapy bills, is very common in these situations. And it's something to be thought of. It only requires a very small amount of evidence. It's called a preponderance of the evidence. Whereas a criminal case that you just mentioned would require a very high burden of evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. So that criminal case possibility is much more difficult, and that's why it'll have to be considered carefully.
Well, yeah, and the Albany District Attorney says his office is now criminally investigating Cuomo for an incident that happened up in Albany, but he wants more victims to come forward here. What do you think overall, and in terms of coming out with this kind of investigation, the Attorney General stopping short of moving forward with suggesting charges? Is that how these things normally play out?
Well, that's, within her jurisdiction, power, wheelhouse. It's limited, and the limits of her power and authority were to do an investigation, to be able to have her investigators subpoena witnesses, and to do a report.
Right.
That's it. After that, it's up to the criminal authorities. It's up to the political class in Albany as to whether they want to go the assembly impeachment route, and then ultimately a trial in the state Senate. And then it'll be up to the victims too as to whether they want to file civil cases, whether they think they have a possibility of success or not.
So in the possibility of filing civil cases, what does that mean financially, possibly, for the governor? I mean, could this completely bankrupt him?
Yeah, it really depends on what the damages are that can be proven, and what the facts are of each case. So I will say this: sexual harassment is taken very seriously by juries these days. My law firm won a verdict in 2019, at the end of 2019, from a jury, $58,250,000 for one victim of sexual harassment by a billionaire. And a few months before that, another jury came back with a verdict for us for another sexual harassment victim by the same billionaire, more than $5 million. So juries are now doing in this decade more than they ever did before. They're recognizing the harm that sexual harassment inflicts on victims.
You know, and there are a lot of calls, growing calls, as I'm sure you've heard, for the governor to resign. He has not come out and said so. What do you want to see, Gloria?
Well, definitely, Sherry wants him to resign. I want him to resign. He used his power, his prestige, his influence to hurt women by sexually harassing them. And now he needs to resign that power because he has betrayed the trust of New York voters. He is a disgrace. He has shamed the office of the governor. And even yesterday with his so-called apology, it was more of a denial than anything else. This is just not acceptable behavior. He's the head of the whole state workforce in New York. He has to set an example, and the example he's set should never, ever be followed by anyone again.
Gloria, we heard the New York Attorney General say yesterday multiple times, I believe women. So in that, what you said as well, that juries are starting to really take these seriously and award women large sums of money because of sexual harassment. What should a woman or a man do if they feel harassed in the workplace by a person of power?
That's great. What they should do is consult a private attorney. Most attorneys like me, and there are many others as well, will give a free and a confidential consultation about what that victim's rights are, what their options are, what the benefits and risk of each potential option is. And then the victim is informed in a way that they can knowingly and carefully choose which option they want to go forward with. And I might add, there are many confidential settlements that take place, both in the private sector and also in the public sector. And so they don't necessarily have to go public, and many don't.
Understand. It doesn't have to always be a person in power either. I mean, it could be somebody who's on the same level.
Well, that's true. But usually, yes, it could be a coworker. You're right about that. There are different requirements for sexual harassment of that. But having said that, often it is a person in power. Now, whether it's an employer, and often it's somebody who has abused the person in their personal life, like those who sexually abuse children or those who sexually assault adult women. It could be, a stranger. It could be someone they know. It could be a boyfriend. It could be a husband. It could be an employer. So it's always important to know rights, because people do have rights, not only in the political world, but the entertainment world, the sports world, the business world, the religious world, the educational world. Victims have more rights now than ever, and especially in New York, and they're being very brave to assert them. And as a result, they're being rewarded for their courage with the damages that they have every right to receive because of what they've suffered.
All right, Gloria, as always, very good information from you. Thank you for spending some time with us today.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.